谢谢大家。所以我们很久没有这个活动，线上的活动，所以很开心看到大家。我们这次有两个非常简单的，第一个是他会讲 Ethics of Information Transparency, and the speech will mainly focus on information transparency, human rights issues, and controversial figures in journalism. And talk will provide a better understanding of what sort of information should be disclosed and what sort of information should be used in order to implement and make effective the ethical practices and principles to which an organization is committed. Eva is passionate about science and language. She worked at a multinational tech company, where she acted as a focal point between R&D department and matrix owners. Most recently, she helped oil and gas British companies sponsored by British Chambers of Commerce to handle clean tech products. So with that, thank you.
Before the speech begins, I'd like to thank the organizers for organizing this event. So this speech will be mainly focused on information transparency, human rights issues, and controversial figures in journalism. And this essay provides a better understanding of what sort of information should be disclosed and what sort of information should be used in order to implement and make effective ethical practices and principles to which an organization is committed. So without further ado, let's begin today's speech. Okay, so in this paper, we should use the term transparency only in the former sense, especially in relation to the choice of which information is to be made accessible by some agent, by some information providers. So in here, information providers in companies, organizations, or public institutions. Transparency depends on factors such as the availability of information, the condition of its accessibility, and how the information which has been transparent shapes such factors by choosing which information could or should be disclosed according to current legislation. So in here, I'd like to share an article with you, and it's something about Clubhouse. So this article was written by Veronica in 2021, and she said, the platform's aggressive approach to data collection could put brand reputation, personal identity, or even national security at risk. And she described any app that becomes popular quickly is less likely to be built with security in mind. So consider using a secondary phone number via a separate SIM card or IP number like Google Voice rather than your primary number for apps like this, since the app uploads all of your contact at this moment. Let's go back to this paper. Therefore, evaluating business, legal, and ethical constraints and implications is important. Providers have to evaluate potential ethical use of disclosed information. Here's another example given by this paper. Facilitating access to electronic medical records may help, like saving research, but may simultaneously expose patients to fraud or a breach of privacy as their personal information is disclosed. So this paper says, considering the ethical implications of disclosing information is a major challenge for information providers. As you may notice, there are many sentences and paragraphs must align with the current situations. So in here, the rest of this paper focuses on the ethics of information transparency and the problem of what kind of information should be made available by information providers. For example, the user interface, aka UI, of operating systems such as Windows or Linux, often disclose information about the underlying computational process without any ethical consequence. So here's a video clip I'd like to share with you. It's about phone privacy, and I will have this video play around 2 minutes. So, users may be involved whether the interaction with the program is correct, whether they have news emails, or whether they are new upgrades to install. Disclosing such information is a design choice. But the choice we have seems very limited, as there are still many gray areas that regulations or laws cannot be reinforced, especially anything associated with new technology, such as digital codes and peer-to-peer networks. So any code you wrote or any information you disclose should be considering to ethical principles. Privacy, anonymity, and copyright are typical examples of ethical or principles that regulate the flow of information, regulated construct of information is a term with many meanings depending on the context in which and the purpose for which it is used. Both data and information are outcomes of collaboration processes. They are therefore relevant when the ethical implications of transparency are taken into account. Primarily raw data as input and produce further data as output in case of data produced by experiment and observations or mining suggested. So here's the final video clip that I'd like to show you. It's something about this problem.
Where is the volume? Increase the volume. The volume, maybe? No, is it coming?
Maybe we can try to. I don't know why.
Is it coming from your computer?
I think.
No.
Try to play again.
It's already there.
Let's talk.
Maybe let's open the caption or.
Okay, anyway. So yeah, he asked why you guys taking so long, and that's the point.
Okay, I see.
It's a go.
Okay, so yeah, both of these operations may be subject to considerations of fairness, accuracy, impartiality, or respect, but addressing the ethical enabling consequences of disclosing the data. So, how can we improve and map these independent code battle to use rather than have so many hackers and perpetrators find a way to take the advantage of anonymity or privacy to do the hate crimes, which is the biggest issue and concern that we have to address and educate people. So, in conclusion, transparency is an ethical principle itself, but as an ethical condition that is enabling the disclosed information is considered in a relationship of dependence or regulation with ethical principles. And second, the problem of defining what kind of information should be disclosed by the organization when the ethical nature of information transparency is taken into account. These two contributions have each been contextualized and explained. So the real need to disclose the ethical details of any process of information management, including those performed by computational artifacts. So in the recent years, unlike harassment, money laundering, and terrorism issues could become bigger problems under Web3 or blockchain web infrastructure. The ethical concern needs to be more addressed than ever before. And the other day, I saw a tech news about Web3, and the author shared this free ebook on GitHub. So I will share this ebook and also upload my today's paper to Papers We Love Taipei official GitHub account, so you guys can download it, and also the credit will go to the organizer. And this author raises many questions and issues about Web3, and you can have a look at it, and such as one question she raised, the big picture of why and how Web3 networks could move to be one of the biggest game-changing innovation in the years to come is still vague, such as the fact that we have no control over what happens with our private data. Second, the lack of transparency along the supply chain of goods, services, and financial payments. And third, the fact that the internet lacked an inherent payment settlement layer, forcing us to rely on trusted internet platforms such as Amazon, Airbnb, or Uber. So these underlying challenge of a peer-to-peer network with a set of anonymous network nodes how to deal with malicious network nodes in the absence of centralized file securing the system. So we first have to solve many technical legal questions, which will require time and interdisciplinary discourse between lawyers and software developers. So before the end, I want to emphasize that all these issues will never be able to be solved by one individual. But we have to come together with educational department, legal department, and technological department to work together and make this world a better place to live. And that's my today's speech. Thank you all for listening.